It's time for your statewide Alabama weathercast.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Drew McCombs with the Alabama Weather Network, and this is your latest Alabama forecast update. And we've got our Skywatcher pictures here. This is from James Mycetic and Fedette down in Geneva County. Some beautiful clouds here. You've got the sun kind of shining through there above the trees, and just a nice, beautiful shot here. We've had lots of calm, warm, and pretty days out there here recently. And Kaylee Fuller in Albertville sent us this picture of a rainbow. So actually had a few showers around and enough to generate a rainbow there in more of the northeastern portion of the state. So again, beautiful views across the state. Looking at our satellite and radar this morning, we've got a little bit more cloud cover that's moved into the southeastern and eastern portions of the state so far this morning. You see a good bit of clouds that have moved over from Georgia. And then you've also got, of course, Imelda starting to move away from the coast here, but you've got sort of the edge of the cloud bands from Imelda that are moving up into the Carolinas. And then you've got some of this northeasterly flow coming in, some of the moisture coming in, circulating around Imelda here. So that's helping to bring in some of those clouds from the southeast, but a good portion of the northern and western portion of the state is still looking at lots of sunshine this morning and no showers to speak of yet, although we expect to see that a few showers around this afternoon. But looking at Ardmore right now, they're right at the Tennessee state line, looking very nice, blue skies at 73 degrees there. Alabaster looking nice there as well. Looking off some of the hills and mountains in the distance at 71 degrees there. A little bit of a breeze from the northwest around 3 miles an hour. And as we move further over towards the east now, Mount Cheaha still high enough up in the clouds to just kind of obscure the view here. But you can see a little bit of the movement of the clouds here along the ridge. And you see it's 63 degrees there, and you're close to the dew point, which is generally what happens when you see some of the clouds around and some fog around there. And as we move further to the south, Montgomery, again, a layer of low clouds here, but mostly seeing some sunshine and some blue skies as well. It's 75 degrees there. Not too bad as far as the dew point, around 65 degrees. And we'll see some drier air move in the next couple of days. We'll cool us off in the mornings for sure. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. And then Dauphin Island is going to be pretty nice this morning right now. It's 79 degrees and the winds out of the north-northwest at 3 miles per hour as we look back towards the bridge there. So what we're watching for today and this week, showers are going to remain scarce. Again, there will be a few around most afternoons over the next couple of days at least, but we'll kind of dry out a little bit further towards the end of the week. And then we'll see highs that will be in the 80s, but we'll see that kind of lower back down in the lower 80s generally as we get towards the end of the week. Cooler nights, though, is going to be one of the main things for later this week as this drier air mass gets into place. So it'll be fairly cool and, I don't know, maybe chilly in a few spots in the mornings as we get towards the later part of the week. So here's your Skywatcher reports. Definitely not as cool quite yet. Looking at our Skywatcher reports for lows this morning, Ronald Hughes and Coker got down to 62. Joey Amberson and Birmingham got down to 63. Same thing for Ryan Hoffman and Inverness and Valerie Hughes in Tuscaloosa. They got the same reading. And then Susan Campbell and Anniston got down to 66 degrees. As far as observed lows for the entire month of September, so we're kind of the last day of September here, and so taking a look back in Mobile, mostly below average lows here recently, some right around average, but I'd say more than definitely more than what you had above average, although the last week or so it's been a little bit more above average as far as the lows are concerned. For the highs in Mobile, it's been mostly above average this month. So again, we've kind of had this situation in place where we've had a little bit drier than normal air in place, which has helped lows in the morning to be a little bit cooler, but then highs in the afternoon has actually ended up a little bit warmer. And some of that has also been the fact that we've been fairly dry this month, or very dry this month. Looking at Birmingham, just another kind of sampling here. So again, it started off a little bit more below average, maybe not as much as what Mobile was seeing, but then here in the last week or a little bit more, it's definitely been a good bit more above average as far as the low temperatures are concerned. And then for the highs, most of the month outside that first week or so has been above average for those highs with lots of 90s throughout most of the month of September. All right, temperatures right now, we're in the 70s mostly across the state, although it's 69 degrees in Auburn, where we've got some of those clouds moving in. We're not able to warm up quite as fast. 74 in Troy, 77 in Selma. We're getting close to 80 towards the west, where you have more full sunshine already this morning. Forecast highs for today, again, towards the east, where you got a little bit more cloud cover, maybe only getting to around 83 degrees in Auburn, 85 in Eufaula. As you move more towards the west, though, where we have more full sunshine, we expect 90 degrees or maybe a little bit higher. Expecting to get 90 degrees in both Demopolis and Tuscaloosa, but generally mid to upper 80s, pretty common across a good portion of the state. Looking at the futurecast, showing up the clouds there showing up on the eastern side of the state as we put it into motion. And then as we get into this afternoon, again, a few spotty showers possible. Will be pretty brief, shouldn't be super heavy. And then as we move on into later on this evening, still a few scattered showers around. Again, vast majority of the state staying dry, which has been the trend for a while now. Could see a few heavier showers trying to nose in from the northeast later on this evening. So there could be a few left over in places like Cleburne and Chambers and Randolph counties. Might see a little bit of a heavier shower later on tonight, but still should be pretty quick to dissipate once we get later on the evening, the overnight hours. And then for tomorrow afternoon, again, a good portion of the state stays dry. A few scattered showers, maybe more towards the western part of the state and down towards the south as well. Looks like maybe a few heavier cells could fall in places in Mobile and Baldwin counties as we get into tomorrow afternoon, which again, if we can get any sort of rain here lately, that's usually pretty helpful, and that's typically pretty helpful. And then as we get into Thursday, looks like we should start drying out a little bit more. We're going to have some drier air move in, and that should take the rain chances down a little bit as we head towards the latter part of the week with that drier air coming into the state. We'll take a look at that looking at our forecast dew points here. So again, we're kind of generally in the 60s right now across the state. As we put it into motion here and get into Wednesday afternoon, see all this yellow right here, and it's starting to push in from the northeast. So basically we've got high pressure at the surface that's going to be kind of pushing down our direction from the northeast up in the parts of New England, pushing down in this direction, the center of it coming closer, and that's going to help to push in some dry air from the east. So as we get into Wednesday afternoon, the northeastern corner of the state starting to see those dew points in the 50s, and as we get into later Thursday or later Wednesday into Thursday, most of the state with dew points in the 50s outside maybe the southwest corner. But again, generally a lot of the state going to be drying out a little bit more, and that will mean some cooler nights as we come up into the latter part of the week. Though for the next couple of days, it'll be still fairly warm. We'll see 86 degrees for our high for today in most parts of the northern part of the state. And same kind of thing for tomorrow. Again, very small chances of any sort of showers. And you can see we lower those chances even more for Thursday and Friday, but you can see those high temperatures going down. And there's those lows down in the 50s. As we get into later part, maybe Sunday of this coming weekend into Monday, might have a little bit of an uptick in chance of showers and thunderstorms that we'll see around. Still not looking like any sort of really widespread rain with this, but maybe a little bit of an uptick. And looking at South Alabama, again, expecting to be still fairly warm for the next couple of days, still low rain chances for the next couple of days. And then we keep that through the Thursday and Friday, see those low temperatures go down just a little bit. The lows not getting quite as low as obviously you would expect in the northern part of the state. But again, as we get into early next week, late weekend, early next week, could have an uptick of some showers and thunderstorms with a low that could develop in the Gulf and produce a few more scattered showers as we move into that portion of the forecast. Well, that is your statewide forecast for now. We'll have another one coming up on the Alabama Weather Network.